In remote villages nestled among forgotten mountains, there whispers a legend scarcely shared among the locals. They caution about the nights cloaked in silence when the silver light of the moon is shrouded by thick clouds. Those are the nights when Tremor emerges, a behemoth of rocks and shadows born from the heart of the earth. Tremor is no mere tale. Its bodily facade is a mass of living cracks, as if the earth itself had risen in rage. Red eyes gleam fiercely against its stone exterior, echoing with molten energy that drizzles like liquid fire. The creature's steps unleash quakes, tremors that ripple through the soil, making the ground groan under its weight. With each massive footfall, homes sway precariously and fissures tear across the landscape, leaving no refuge from its wrath. The ancient tale suggests that Tremor rises from its depths only when humans disrupt the natural order driven by avarice. They build unsparingly, destroy sacred forests, or tunnel greedily into the land's core. It is then that Tremor stirs, awakening from its ancient slumber to instigate terror and disorder until all who trespass flee. Among the elders, a warning is etched into the lore: when the ground trembles for reasons unknown, resist the urge to escape. Instead, kneel and implore, for it may not be mere seismic unrest gripping the land. It could very well be Tremor, prowling hungrily for its next glory. Thus, the legend persists among the whispers of time, ever present beneath those mountains, waiting for the moment when balance tips to once again unleash its legend upon the world. In a small countryside town, where the smell of pine intermingled with the scent of rain-soaked earth, lived three inseparable friends. There was Lucas, the brave one and natural leader of their little band; Matus, with his untamed curiosity and wild ideas that often landed them into unusual situations; and finally Jew, ever cautious and practical, yet unfalteringly loyal to his companions. For months, the residents of the town had been alarmed by peculiar tremors resonating in the earth, their origins pointing to the long-abandoned mining pits. A place that once buzzed with life now lay silent and forsaken, whispers of mysterious disappearances amongst those daring enough to venture close-clouded conversations. Driven by their insatiable thirst for adventure and perhaps a tad of youthful bravado, the three friends resolved to delve into the enigma surrounding the old mine. They drew their plans under the light of the stars, filled with a thrill neither fear nor cautious tales could quell. On a night when the moon only occasionally revealed herself from behind heavy clouds, hiding most of the world in shadows, the boys gathered at the gates of the mine. The gates creaked intricately, as if trying to caution the intruders. A cold wind darted through the trees, making their leaves shiver. Lucas, with a voice barely louder than the whispering wind, enunciated their pact: "If the stories are true, tonight we will discover them." With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, the group switched on their flashlights. Beams of light sliced through the darkness, illuminating the undulating path that lay before them. The friends took a collective breath and, with small steps that soon found their rhythm, crossed into the heart of the forbidding and perilous mine. What loomed ahead of them was a mystery wrapped in silence. The jagged corridors told tales of the past, the chilling winds that echoed within spoke of foreboding. But the boys pushed forward, their courage forged by camaraderie and the allure of the unknown. As they wandered deeper, guided by intuition and intermittent markings from previous trailblazers, reality bent in unusual ways. Shadows seemed alive, moving with intent, as if guiding them deeper or perhaps warning them to turn back. Matus mused aloud as they halted at a fork, his curiosity piqued. What if the tremors are caused by something living? Inside the abandoned mine, three boys ventured forward with their phones recording every moment. The dim glow from their screens cast eerie shadows along the damp stone walls. Each step sent small tremors through the ground, resembling distant heartbeats of something monstrous confined deep below. In front led Alex, a slender teenager with a penchant for unraveling mysteries. Clad in a green hooded jacket, the fabric flapping with each movement, he advanced, a mix of apprehension and excitement in his eyes. Flanking him were his steadfast friends, Matt and Charlie, both donning identical red sweaters. Matt's flashlight beam bounced off the cavernous walls, while Charlie, with a cautious countenance, kept glancing back, his mind racing with thoughts of tales science could not explain. Their journey twisted through narrow passageways, where old support beams creaked ominously under the weight of the mountain above. With each unsteady step, echoes of past lives whispered from the shadows, borne on the air by the fragments left behind broken tools that spoke of labors unfinished. Lanterns extinguished before their time, and clothes, sadly ragged, that hinted of hasty departures. The trio's bravado was tested as the tremors beneath grew stronger, increasingly frequent. Small rocks cascaded from the cavern roof, compelled by the turmoil below. They pressed onward, intrigued and unnerved by the challenge, until a seismic rumble gave way to an unnerving sound. Deep and sinister, muffled growls reverberated through the stone corridors, unmistakably alive. The sound was primal and potent, echoing the roar of an entity buried under tons of immovable rock. Suddenly panicked, the boys sought refuge behind a pile of old mining debris, peering cautiously from their hiding spot. Before them, a clandestine operation unfolded against the dim orange glow of torches held high. Hunters and miners, grim-faced and resolute, encircled their quarry, the legendary Tremor. The boys' eyes widened in disbelief and awe. Here was the beast of lore, gargantuan and magnificent, bound in iron and magical chains that shimmered in the darkness like moonlight on rippling water. The creature, its enormous cracked body exhaling plumes of smoke, wrestled against its restraints with eyes like molten lava, blazing with defiance and agony. Every roar it unleashed ignited tremors that rippled through the mine, shaking the earth with a force that threatened to break stone from stone. Huddled in shock, the boys' initial terror gave way to an unsettling realization. The Tremor, captive and wounded, was far from the villain of stories. It was a victim of human greed and fear. Here, deep under the weight of earth and darkness, the boys stumbled upon a bitter truth: the legend was real, and its narrative, they now knew, was far from complete. With trembling hands and racing hearts, they understood their journey didn't end with discovery, but with a choice: stand witness, or be the voice of a misunderstood creature's plight. The forest was silent, save for the rustle of leaves and distant chirps of the evening birds. The setting sun cast an eerie glow on the three boys, who were crouched near the mouth of an abandoned mine, hidden behind thick ferns. They watched and waited, hearts pounding rhythmically in their chests. Matus, wearing a green hooded jacket, adjusted his backpack, which sagged from the weight of necessary supplies for their expedition. He had always been the careful planner, albeit sometimes overly cautious. Beside him, Ju and Lucas, clad in red sweaters, were equally apprehensive but determined. The legend of Tremor, the stone giant, was known only in hushed whispers, a tale passed down generations about a creature said to rise in fury when its sanctity was violated. This story had drawn the boys close to the forbidden zone of the miners, who had set up camp hoping for treasures within the mountain. "I feel it," Matus whispered, clutching his phone tightly. "Tremor is here somewhere." The other two nodded, their fingers flashing nervously over their flashlight buttons. Just as the dim light of the phone began recording the vast emptiness ahead, a shadow moved over them. A clicking of boots on stones, a sudden intake of breath, a chill. Suddenly, without warning, a burly man emerged from the shadows, clutching a gun, his eyes peered with suspicion and intent. "What are you boys doing here?" The voice boomed through the thick silence, causing Matus to flinch, and in a panicked reflex, Ju shoved the hunter. The man stumbled backward, dropping out of sight with a surprised cry. With their hearts in their throats, the boys scrambled forward. Lucas, ever the brave one, shouted, "Now or never," as he and the others emptied the small cans of oil and gasoline they had intended as a distraction. Matus lit a match with a trembling hand. It danced briefly before being cast onto the pooling liquid. Flames rose like a fiery serpent, licking and curling around the tents and equipment of the hunters' camp. As fire spread with ferocious speed, panicked cries filled the air. Men abandoned their pursuits, releasing chains that were mere seconds away from being enveloped by fire. From deep within the mine, a low growl rumbled, growing into a guttural roar. Tremor, the legendary beast, had awoken. It emerged, towering, magnificent, a creature of stone and shadow. Its joints cracked like boulders, eyes glowing like rivers of molten lava. With the ground shaking underfoot, it began its assault on the chaos that usurped its home. With frightening ease, Tremor tore through weapons, sending sparks where metal clashed against stone. It swept through tents and men alike with the fury of an ancient tornado, each step reverberating like an earthquake. The boys watched from beyond the reach of the flames, terrified and awestruck. They remained rooted to the spot, witnessing a myth become terrifyingly real.